It's only cold for the first couple minutes.
It's only cold for the whole time you're in it.
So we did a nice little recovery run. This morning we did the HYROX double sim, and then we drove up to the Emerald Outback Trail system, which is just under 6,000 feet elevation, so it's higher than where we're at right now. And ran around a little bit and then descended back here to the house. What was it, like 5.5 miles? 5.5 miles or so, just to help kind of flush out the workout. And now we're gonna sit in the creek and just try to get the inflammation down. That looks like a good spot right there, dude. That looks like a good spot. I'll do it.
You got shoe problems, you see?
Dude, I look ridiculous, man.
You gotta.
Honestly, I probably should have just gone. These shoes need to be cleaned anyway, so I probably should have just gone directly in there with the shoes on. Now I got a half-mile walk back to the house with rocks all over my shit. Let me slide that bad boy. My little table. So my training has changed in prep for Worlds in that, you know, the main thing is we're here up at elevation, altitude, Beach Mountain, North Carolina, removed myself from all of distractions and put myself in a place where I can just like really focus in on the training like every single day. And you know what that has looked like is volume has gone up, intensity has gone up, and it's kind of it's a thing you can't really sustain for a long period of time. So the fact that I'm only up here for a couple weeks is about as much as I can handle. You know what goes through my mind when I'm going through a tough moment within a station, I think it changes, and it just changes from race to race. I think I'm, you know, it's no secret that I've had my struggles, and, you know, for the longest time, it was my dad. Like, my dad was the person that I would think about when the time got tough, and knowing that I would have to call him on the phone afterwards and tell him how I did, and just never wanting to disappoint him. And, you know, now that he's no longer with us, I think I'm in search of like a new why and reason for doing this. And, you know, to be honest, I don't know that I have a clear answer for that one. And, you know, I do know that I try to remind myself to just like stay present, like stay in the moment, and just focus on the next rep of whatever it is that I'm doing. And, you know, if you do that, eventually you make it through. And I've been guilty of thinking too far ahead when I'm not even at that place in the race yet. I could be on burpee broad jumps and I'm already starting to think about the wall balls at the end, and like that's not that's not the mentality that you need to have in a HYROX race. You really need to just stay present and focused on the task at hand, and that's really what I try to do. I don't really have any rituals. At least like nothing that changes from what I do like in training. I have my routine that I do for all of my quality workouts, and I implement that same routine on race day. Like nothing changes just because it's a race. So like I'm trying to think. Like I don't know. Like you saw it today. Like the only superstition I really have is like with my shoes. Like my shoes have to be tied like to perfection. I need to feel the right amount of tension on my feet, and I think that just goes back to my track and field days. And if the shoe feels too loose, I gotta tighten it. If it feels too tight, I gotta loosen it, and then you just gotta find that sweet spot. So my most memorable race experience, two come to mind. The first one would be when I won the HYROX North American Championships in Chicago in 2022, I believe. It was the first time Hunter had been beaten on American soil, and yeah, like no one expected me to win that race, but I knew going in that, training had been going well. I was super fit and kind of flying under the radar. And probably caught some people off guard, and but yeah, it was like a David and Goliath story, really. Like it wasn't even that Hunter had a bad day. Like Hunter had a good day. I just had a better day. So, to do something that no one else had done up until that point was like, it was like the confidence boost that I needed to propel me to like the next level. And that was the race that did it for me. And then the other one is when I won at the same venue, the Chicago Major in 2023, when I held off my doubles partner, Rylan Shadegg, who was breathing down my neck the entire time. That was a race where I very easily could have given in because Rylan was breathing down my neck. The gap never really got that big. And anytime Rylan was starting to close in on me, I just I just had another gear where I could extend it back. And it was kind of just like this back and forth cat and mouse game the entire time. And, fortunately I was able to come out on top. And, I've said this before, Rylan and I, before teaming up, we've been rivals. And at that time, we were definitely still rivals. So to beat him, it was like, yeah, it felt good. And, running a 55 at that time, again, on American soil, like, people don't know that American times, for the longest time, American times were much slower than anywhere else globally. Like 2 minutes, 3 minutes slower than some of these European courses. So, to drop a 55:12 on a grid course too was, again, it's just like one of those races that it just propels you to the next level. And, little did I know that shortly after that, my dad was going to pass away. And, the trajectory that I was on went the complete opposite way, and I've kind of been trying to dig myself out of that hole ever since, but I feel like we're close. I guess one thing people would be surprised to learn about me is that I'm not always like motivated to train. Like I don't wake up every day and like, oh yes, I get to train today and work towards my goals. And like honestly, like most days it's like harder than you think to get out the door and put my shoes on and go train. And that's why I always try to tell people that, like, motivation is only going to take you so far. Like, you really need discipline. Like, discipline, like, if you have discipline, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you want to do it or if you don't want to do it. You're just going to do it anyway. The fucking grind is hard. And that's why a lot of people don't make it. Like, this shit is hard. But when I gotta admit, though, when I finish my workout, that sense of accomplishment that I get every single day is like super empowering and makes me feel good about myself. And there's a lot of positives that come from it. So again, like, even though I don't want to do it, I know what's going to come from it. And, you know, that's enough to kind of put on the shoes, lace them up, and get it done. Yeah, the person who pushed me the most to get me to where I am today is no secret. I mean, it's my dad. He's the reason I'm even sitting here in this chair having this sit down with you. You know, he's my biggest inspiration. He was an athlete. He was much more than an athlete, you know, but he ran marathons. He was a world champion arm wrestler, professional bodybuilder. You know, I grew up idolizing my dad, and ever since I was a little kid, I said I was going to be a pro athlete. And when I finally got that opportunity, like, I freaking grabbed it by the balls and was like not going to let it go. And, you know, I owe everything to my dad. And it sucks that he's not here to kind of continue to go on this journey with me. But he was with me for a good portion of it, and he got to see a lot of like my success, and I feel very grateful that I got to experience that with him. And I know he's still looking down on me. It's just different. Just different, like him not being here in person and not being able to call him up and tell him how a race went. But I still do it for him, like 100%. And you know, hopefully my little boy can find that same sort of inspiration that I had with my dad. He can kind of find that within me, and it's kind of already showing through now. Like, seeing him run around and want to be involved in like all the things that I'm doing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty dope. You know, people, sometimes I joke when somebody, you know, if I'm training out in my garage or something and somebody stops by and they're like, hey, like, what are you training for? And I jokingly will say sometimes, like, I'm training for life. You know, part of that is truth, and then the other part is just like, I don't feel like going into the details of trying to explain like what HYROX is. So, you know, I'll just be like, I'm training for life. And there is truth to that, because the reality of the situation is that life is gonna hit us way harder than any training session is ever going to be. And I've experienced that in the last couple years. But I will say that by voluntarily putting yourself in difficult situations through training, you're able to handle those moments when they happen, because ultimately it's going to happen to everybody. Like, I've realized that like no one gets through unscathed. Like, you're going to lose a pet, a friend, a family member. Like, something bad is going to happen to you, and it's only, if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's only a matter of time before it does. And I truly believe that we can deal with those situations better if we voluntarily put ourselves in difficult and challenging situations, you know, through training. So I 1000% believe that there's like that crosses over, like that transfers the, you know, the difficulties that we experience in training, like that can have huge benefit to the challenges that we face. And really, like, what we consider even like problems to begin with, you know, like some things just like don't really, they're just not as big as you think they might be. And you know, I get it that it's hard to have that perspective, you know, all the time, but you know, I truly believe that putting ourselves through difficult situations through training, like it 100% helps us deal with, you know, real life problems. Looking back, the advice that I would give my younger self, like when I first started racing, would be that, like, this ain't a game. Like I remember when I quit all of my jobs and went all in on being a pro athlete, I didn't know how to be a pro athlete. I didn't know how to train like one. I didn't know how to recover like one. I didn't know how to eat like one. Like, you need to surround yourself either with, you know, people that have done it or are currently doing it, or, you know, just freaking do your research, because like, if you don't know what you're doing, like, you're just gonna waste so much time. Like, I remember in the beginning, like, I would just sleep till noon and then be like, all right, like, I guess I'll go work out now. And then there was no structure to my day, like, at all. And like, I'd go eat Carl's Jr. and like thinking back on it now, it's just like, what in the hell was I doing? Like, how was this going to be a recipe for success? And now it's just, it's funny to like look back on that and, you know, look at all the things that I was doing wrong. And but once you find the structure, you know, that's when everything kind of like starts to click. And, you know, you have your routines. You go to bed at a certain time, you wake up at a certain time, you train at a certain time, you try to eat all the right things, and that's just going to give you a better chance at success. And I know for me in the beginning, man, I was just like winging it. And but I didn't know any better. So I guess to a certain degree, I'm still winging it. Here I am drinking wine. I'm a J. Cole. Give me some any J. Cole. So if I could honestly be a professional athlete, I know this isn't a quick answer, but if I could be a professional athlete in any other sport, I'd want to be a tennis player. And my favorite tennis player of all time is Rafael Nadal. So give me Rafa. Sweets, candy, chocolate, ice cream, cake, all the stuff, all of it. Ooh, worst injury I've ever had. I had, I guess it's not like crazy bad, but IT band. I had an IT band problem a few times in my career, and that shit sucks. Manchester. Giraffe. Ha. Give me Hunter. Give me Meg. Give me Rich. Give me Alex. Because Austrians, man, those Austrians, dude, they're tough as nails. Give me Lauren Weeks, dude. Give me Lauren Weeks.